MGTOW do not hate women, we overcome red pill rage through understanding. A deeper understanding of female nature, the imperative, which is debatable as far as being biological, biblical, or a result of culture. It is still the key towards MGTOW of either abandoning hatred of women or overcoming the rage once a MGTOW gets a glimpse into such female behaviors, also dubbed as taking the red pill. The understanding is what has a MGTOW see such behaviors as self-evident and inevitable as either gravity or a dog barking, thus averting any reason to be angry. All references will be linked in the description. As far as the natural, or the evolutionary mindset, the premise is that women have a biological imperative to want to have children and only mate with the strongest, smartest, and richest men who can take care of them and their children. Such a nature leads towards what is called hypergamy, which is the action of marrying a person of a superior caste or class, or, in street slang, trading up. And within such evolutionary mindset, there is a concept called Briffaults Law, which is explained in a Psychology Today article, Briffaults Law Women Rule. Written by Dale Hartley Ph.D. MB. Briffaults Law maintains that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male, no such association takes place. Today we would say relationship rather than association. For this bit of wisdom we have Robert Briffault (1876–1948), an English surgeon, anthropologist, and author, to thank. I do not present Briffaults Law as fact, nor do I dismiss it as fiction. It is something to think about, and Briffault gives us even more to ponder. Briffault continues with these three corollaries to his law. 1. Even though a woman has accrued past benefits from her relationship with a man, this is no guarantee of her continuing the relationship with him. Translation: what have you done for me lately? 2. If a woman promises a man to continue her relationship with him in the future in exchange for a benefit received from him today, her promise becomes null and void as soon as the benefit is rendered. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. 3. A man's promise of a future benefit has limited ability to secure a continuing relationship with a woman, and his promise carries weight with her only to the extent that the woman's wait for the benefit is short and to the extent that she trusts him to keep his promise. The premise is in an article entitled The Feminine Imperative on blog.jim.com, and it states, the feminine imperative is that when a woman follows her pussy, it should have good results for her, and if it does not have good results for her, it is the fault of some dastardly man, and not an indication that women are too childish and irresponsible to be allowed to follow their pussies. Whenever illicit female sexual desires lead to illicit acts which have bad consequences, those consequences are deemed to be the fault of men, and it is the duty of men to make female sexual desires come out with good consequences for the woman, even if it means bad consequences for the man. Man up and marry those sluts. Thus, for example, serial monogamy is deemed to be perfectly moral, while polygyny is totally unacceptable, meaning that women are allowed to be permanently on the prowl to trade up from their current husband or boyfriend, while it is absolutely terrible for a man to sleep with multiple girlfriends, or to sleep with other women in addition to his wife. When women do bad things, they are treated like children, morally let off the hook, protected from the consequences. Yet they are allowed to make potentially disastrous choices without adult supervision, choices that men will pay for when those choices go wrong. Thus women receive substantially lesser penalties for crimes, and are not really expected to honor contracts, yet any business that discriminated against contracts signed by women would be in big trouble, even though it is also in trouble when it tries to enforce those contracts. A pregnant woman can abort, or give the child away, but if she decides to keep it, she can demand child support from the father, while denying the child a father. The underlying mechanism leading to the feminine imperative is that adult women are assumed to be adult, to be capable of making responsible decisions about sex and reproduction. And when it becomes painfully obvious that they are not, then men have to pick up the pieces, without however having the power and authority to restrain women from making bad decisions. The feminine imperative is a result of the fact that letting women take the costs of their decisions leads to intolerably bad outcomes. So men have to take the cost of women's decisions. But even if we try to ameliorate the costs of bad decisions, these decisions are still terribly harmful and should never have been permitted. Finally, the biblical overview is that Eve wanted to act independently of God by partaking in the forbidden fruit as a result of having a conversation with Satan, manifested as a serpent. Adam, not wanting to disappoint Eve, partook with her so that he would not be separated from her as a result of God punishing her, chose to plunge mankind into separation from God, thus incurring sin, sickness, and death. The Bible does expound on the dark side of female nature with accounts of Potiphar's wife, Jezebel, and in Proverbs. There is the whore of Babylon, which is more allegorical, but nevertheless a darker female connotation. Taking those three viewpoints into account, look at such in light of actual situations and raw statistics. Catherine Turvey of the American Sociological Association, in an article entitled "Women More Likely Than Men to Initiate Divorces, but Not Non-Marital Breakups," wrote that women initiate 70% of all divorces. On the website, McKinleyIrvine.com, the article 32 Shocking Divorce Statistics states that 80% of custodial mothers receive a support award, while only 30% of custodial fathers receive a support award. 46.9% of non-custodial mothers totally default on support, while only 26.9% of non-custodial fathers totally default on support. 75% of children with divorced parents live with their mother. Aside from that article, note that almost all states are no-fault divorce states. This means any divorce where the spouse asking for a divorce does not have to prove that the other spouse did something wrong. And finally, the Daily Mail has an article entitled, "Half of Women Have a Fallback Partner on Standby Who Has Always Fancied Them," in case their current relationship turns sour, which was a survey of 1,000 women. Taking the above into consideration, the rational man who is a MGTOW sees that being involved in a long-term relationship usually has some sort of push towards marriage by the woman. The statistics reflect that it will most likely end in divorce, in which the wife initiates it with no need to justify to the court as to the reason. The divorce usually ends in the husband having to pay a support award such as alimony, child support, or both. Depending on the state, alimony payments can be permanent, and child support payments can extend beyond their child's 18th birthday if they attend college. With the current rise of the Me Too movement, men can be jailed or put out of job based on a mere accusation of sexual assault that happened decades prior, with no police investigation, no court trial, and no evidence. Spouses can call the police and just say the man hit her, and the man goes immediately to jail without any formal medical verification of the lady being hit. With all of these indisputable facts, the rational MGTOW sees all of this as likely and inevitable and chooses to limit his interactions with women as much as possible so as to avoid being damaged legally and financially. His interactions with women usually compartmentalized to either strictly commercial or sexual transactions in any capacity. With this knowledge, and if any of these unfortunate circumstances happens to the MGTOW, he can only be angry at himself for falling into the known traps set by women due to their nature and predominant behaviors. Please like, subscribe, and donate via PayPal or Patreon to help support the time resource investments it takes to produce. Thank you for listening.